came in. The milk will break the fast, but the coffee and tea, probably not.
Okay. Awesome. So, got someone watching from Venezuela. Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Love that.
I don't want to mess up names if I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce sometimes the names, but I see it here. Tusa. I'm going to say Tusa Primal to make it short. Yeah.
Okay. So any last call, any final questions?
Yeah, and follow us both. For those watching, you can click the button up atop and it'll give you our profiles to follow. So for those on here who are following me, go follow Dr. Shayna. And for those who are on here from Dr. Shayna, I'd love for you to follow. And if a question pops up, send us a DM and we'll be happy to help out as much as possible.
From Murray Milner, how do I stop craving keto sweets? Great question.
Oh, I didn't see that. How do I stop craving keto sweets? So like when you're saying keto sweets, are you referring to how do I stop craving sweets on keto, or how do you stop craving keto specific sweets? I'm going to answer for both either way. So protein is going to be great. Protein helps activate these satiety mechanisms in your body. Satiety means you feel full, you feel satiated. So protein helps activate cholecystokinin, peptide YY, leptin. These send signals to your brain and to your stomach that you're full, put down the fork. And I would recommend getting about 40 to 50 grams of protein at your meals, which is like 8 to 10 ounces to activate these satiety mechanisms. And I've also seen getting your electrolytes up help with these cravings as well. So those would be 2 recommendations. What about you, Doc? What would you add to that?
Sorry, I was looking at the comments. What was the question for me?
I said I recommended protein and electrolytes for cravings. Is there anything else you would add to that?
For cravings, working to rebalance your microbiome. So exploring that. So I find that helps a lot of people, looking into their microbiome health and working on that. So a lot of times it is related to overgrowth as well.
Yeah, it's not you, it's your microbes. That's a great point. I love that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, if there are no other questions, we're going to wrap things up. So if you want to learn more about intermittent fasting and keto, be sure to check out Ben's newest book, Keto Flex, and also the Keto Kamp podcast. Ben, was there anything that you want to share as far as how people can best connect with you?
Yeah, the book is the best place, ketoflexbook.com. I outline exactly how my 4 pillars to keto, fasting, and keto flexing, going in and out of ketosis. So that's the best place to check me out.
Okay, awesome. Well, I hope that you found value in this live. So again, I'm going to be doing more lives like this more regularly. So make sure you're following both Dr. Shayna E. Peter, me, and the Ben Azadi on Instagram. So you'll be able to get those updates. And also let me know what topics you guys want to learn more about, because that's how I'll structure the interviews. There is a whole chapter, and it's not just acne, my new book on inflammation. If you want to learn more about that, you can check it out at the link in my bio.
Awesome.
So other than that, thanks again, you all, for joining me. And we're going to do more of these. Thank you so much, Ben, for all the value that you provided for our community.
Likewise, and congrats to you for your first Instagram Live. I look forward to more with you, and keep up the awesome work, Shayna.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Cool. So, hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. So, I just want to give you all full disclosure. So, this is my first Instagram Live ever.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, this is going to be really exciting. Yeah. First time for everything, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Shayna Peter. I'm the author of the newly released book, It's Not Just Acne, and founder of Well Ahead Chicago. We provide educational resources as well as health consulting for people that want to upgrade their skin health and vitality and really get to the root cause. So I'm going to be doing more lives like this on a regular basis. So make sure you're following me so that you can get those updates and notifications and give me suggestions of topics that you guys want to learn more about. So I am so excited about the guest that we have with us today. Ben Azadi. So Ben is he is a functional medicine health coach. He's a 3-time best-selling author and host of the Keto Kamp podcast, as well as Keto Kamp. He's doing a lot of incredible work in that space of keto and intermittent fasting and cellular inflammation. So I'm really excited that he's joining us today and providing value to you guys. So thanks again so much, Ben, for joining us.
It's my pleasure. I love that this is your first live. I didn't know that. It's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna keep the bar high right from the start. Yeah. Thanks for having me today.
Sure. So one of my colleagues, I actually heard about you through them, and I looked you up and looked into your work, and I really love what you're doing and admire what you're doing. And what I find when I talk to a lot of people in the holistic health space and in functional medicine is, they had a story. They didn't just end up doing what they're doing by accident. Like there was something in their life that pushed them in that direction. So I would love for you to share with us how you got into keto and intermittent fasting and what that experience was like for you.
Absolutely. Who was the colleague that introduced you?
So I've had a few. So one is a health coach that actually works for me.
Oh, cool.
And I also heard about you through House of Keto.
Yeah, Abby, House of Keto.
People, that have mentioned you.
Oh, very cool. I'm grateful for that. So my story is I'm somebody who followed a standard American diet, which is, as you know, a very toxic diet. Mm-hmm. And as an adult, early adult, 24 years old, back in 2008, I was obese, I was depressed, I was suicidal, I weighed 250 pounds, and I made some changes. I took ownership and responsibility over my circumstances. Mm-hmm. And I had this transformation, this 9-month transformation. I went from 250 pounds down to 170 pounds. Wow. I completely transformed my physical health, but also my mental health. I started to achieve what I call a mental six-pack. And that was 13 years ago. That's what got me in the space. And ever since then, I've been really a student of everything, studying cellular health. Mm-hmm. And in 2014 is when I discovered the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. And I started to apply that. And I just saw the benefits of it on myself. And then I decided to educate more people on these amazing tools. So that's how it all got started in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that. So with keto and intermittent fasting, they've obviously become a lot more trendy in the past couple of years. People are definitely, becoming more aware of it. But the struggle that I shouldn't call it like that, but something that I'm always trying to help people understand is why it's relevant. So with us talking about cellular inflammation today and then getting into talking about intermittent fasting, what would you say to someone who's kind of like, why do I care? Like, why does this really matter? I'm not old, I'm not really inflamed, so why does this matter?
I was just on a live earlier with Coin Health, and I was explaining why anybody can benefit from ketosis. I mean, it's just a metabolic process we want to tap into. So there's so many benefits to it. Number one, you're going to reduce inflammation at the cellular level. If you do that, it's only going to help your body function better, whether that's brain function, whether that's joint pain, gut issues, or even some overweight. You're overweight, you want to lose some weight, you got to reduce your cellular inflammation. So ketosis is a process that has been around forever. It's nothing new about keto. It's been around since humans have existed, but we've lost our ability to tap into it, and we have a keto deficiency. So I do keto not because I want to lose weight. I do keto for the anti-inflammatory benefits, the way that my brain turns on when I'm in ketosis, and how it could potentially extend your lifespan and increase your health span. And I don't think there's one person who doesn't want any of that, right? So that's why I do it. What about you, Doc? Why do you use this tool?
For me, a lot of it goes back to skin health and anti-aging. I say if nothing else, we all care about that.
Totally.
We all want to look and feel our best. And so that's really that's a big motivator for a lot of things, because what I found in my experience is whatever you do to help your skin is going to just help your health overall. So they're not separate.
Yeah, and when I know you had mentioned the book that you wrote. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just about the acne. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's not just acne.
It's not just acne. So do you get into? I want to read it, but did you get into like the gut skin connection? I'm sure you did.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all throughout the book, there's a whole chapter on gut health. There's a whole chapter on inflammation where I really go into the gut skin connection even more, and how inflammation is really that's really our end goal, is to find out what the underlying causes of the inflammation and resolve that. And so I do talk about some intermittent fasting in the book, not so much keto, but I do go into intermittent fasting because, as you know, it's a really powerful way to help regulate blood sugar.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things, one of the biggest challenges that people are fighting with acne, and then a lot of people that suffer from acne are also dealing with PCOS, or on that spectrum somewhere where they may not have full-blown PCOS, but they might be headed in that direction if they don't make a change. So for so many reasons, most people can benefit from that.
Yeah, intermittent fasting is such a great way to reset the gut. So, when you eat so frequently and you're not fasting, that'll destroy the gut, and that could lead to acne and some skin issues. So when you fast, not only does it stress the gut in a positive way to help create more diversity, but it gives the gut a rest and a reset for the first time in a long time. That's why one of many reasons why I love fasting.
Yeah, absolutely. So with intermittent fasting, if someone is new to it and maybe they're even a little bit intimidated, what would be your advice as far as how to get started with it?
Yeah, I would recommend that they start with a 12-hour fast. And what that would look like would be they're done eating at 7 p.m. at night.
Mm-hmm.
They go to bed, and then they wait until 7 a.m. to have their first meal. That's 12 hours. It's a good start. And then what I would go do after that is then start maybe pushing your breakfast out an hour. So instead of 7 a.m. breaking the fast, go to 8 a.m., 13-hour fast. You feel good, then push that to 9 a.m., 14-hour fast. And then eventually get to like an 18-6 daily schedule would benefit a lot of people, meaning 18 hours you're in the fasted state, you're having water, maybe some coffee and tea and electrolytes, but not a meal. And then you have a 6-hour eating window, and that could be 12 to 6 p.m. You would be your eating window, and then you fast outside of that. So we want to look at fasting as a muscle that you build up and develop over time. Just like when you go to the gym and you want to build your bicep muscle, you got to do the reps and do the work. It's very similar with fasting. You don't just jump into 100-pound bicep curls. You would build up to that. So you don't jump into an 18-hour fast. You would also build up to that. And I like that approach of starting with 12 hours and kind of building up from there.
No, that sounds great. That's exactly what I recommend too.
Awesome.
Yeah, starting with a 12-hour fast, and also having some space in between your meals. So doing more time-restricted eating, making sure you're having a minimum of 4 to 6 hours between your meals. And I think that that's really important. And the thing about it is the research continues to change, because I want to say maybe like 8 to 10 years ago, the recommendation was like the opposite, that you should keep eating like these frequent meals, but now, we're seeing in the research that that's really not the best thing.
Yeah, and there's still, unfortunately, doctors and dietitians and nutritionists are still on that old research of eating every 2 to 3 hours to support your adrenals and support your glucose levels. That doesn't work. That's going to age you faster. We don't want to do that.
Right. No, that's definitely not what we want.
Yeah.
Okay. So here is a question, and I wanted to get your perspective on this because I feel like there are different schools of thought on this. So with intermittent fasting, are you a fan of having tea and coffee like during the fasting period?
I think it's okay. If you want to maximize the benefits from a fast, maximize autophagy from the fast, then don't have that. Have just water and sea salt. However, a lot of people do okay with coffee and tea during a fast, but here's how I would verify that. And I always tell people to test your glucose. Test your glucose, your blood glucose, before you have the coffee and tea. and
Mm-hmm.
then have your coffee and tea, test it again 30 minutes after.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a glucose rise of more than 5 points? For some people that happens, and that could negate some of the autophagy. But for some people, there's no glucose rise, and that's totally fine. So I think it's okay. It's a great way to support the fast, especially if you're having trouble with just water and you want to lengthen the window. Then that could be a viable option for sure. What about you? What are your thoughts on it?
Um, that's something that I've been thinking about and been trying to gather more research on. I think it's obviously better if you can just do water, but I don't know. I know at least for me, I feel like it's easier if I can have some flavor. So I
Yeah,
think whatever tools you can give people so that they're more successful with something, I think
exactly.
that's the way to go.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to be so rigid and say, it's water fasting or it's not a fast. I mean, there's different tools to your point, and if it's going to help you keep the fast going, I'm all for it.
Yeah. So, as we kind of wrap things up, and I'm gonna open it up for a few questions, what are some of your top tips for reducing cellular inflammation?
Yeah, great question. Sleep. Your body goes through this recycling and cleansing process during sleep. So I would say get 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, get enough deep sleep, enough REM sleep. So prioritize sleep would be number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two would be to stop eating every 2 to 3 hours and
Yeah.
start practicing intermittent fasting or time restricted feeding.
Mm-hmm.
And number three would be to avoid or limit as much as possible vegetable oils that are also called industrial seed oils. They are polyunsaturated fats that are highly inflammatory, that stick around for weeks and even months, even worse than sugar, these fats are. And it's unfortunate because they're all keto friendly, but they're not health friendly. So canola oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, rice bran oil, grapeseed oil. Avoid those and switch over to stable saturated fats, monounsaturated fats like coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, butter. So those would be a game changer, those three tips. So intermittent fasting, sleep, and avoiding vegetable oils would be my three tips. What about you, Doc?
Awesome. So I would agree with a lot of the things that you said. I'm trying to think what I would add. So I would go into diet a lot more. So I'm big on educating people about the importance of incorporating more plants. So I tell people to get at least 20 different plants in their diet every week to help to diversify their microbiome. That time restricted eating is going to be really important. Keeping your stress down.
So important.
Yeah, keeping your stress down is paramount. Yeah, getting a lot of antioxidants in through your diet, really bumping up that your plant intake. And plant-based is another thing, obviously, that's very trendy right now, but I always remind people that everyone's diet should be plant-based, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't eat meat. So even if you're having meat, you still want to follow a plant-based diet. It just means that most of your nutrients are coming from plants.
Yeah, and I like the idea of changing your plant sources to help create that diversity. So in food in general, you want to rotate the foods, eat different meats, eat different vegetables, eat different fruits to create that diversity, to your point. So awesome tip.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for those tips. And I think that this is really important too, with anything that's trendy, especially keto, is a lot of times, especially when people are shopping in the store, a lot of products are, labeled keto. They just have a lot of buzzwords. And so it's really, really important for people to be educated about what types of oils they should be looking for in any foods that they're eating if they're trying to follow a keto diet. So thanks so much for sharing those pearls with us. Is there anything else that you want to add before we open it up for questions?
Yeah, what you said was important. Don't fall for the buzzwords. Even the veganism is a very popular term. Paleo, Whole30, those are great, but look at the ingredients. Do they have these bad fats? Do they have artificial sweeteners that we want to avoid, like sucralose and aspartame, which wreck the gut? So make sure you're not falling for the label, but you're looking at the back of the ingredients list. That's most important. And if you take action with one thing today, you're going to benefit your body and your future self. So we give you a whole bunch of things to take action on, whether it's sleep or stress or working on your diversity of your gut, intermittent fasting, keto. Choose one thing, master that, and then go on to the next one and kind of stack those habits is what I would say.
Yeah, that's great advice. So we've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to open it up for questions. So if you've got a burning question for us, go ahead and pop it in the comments.
Yeah, ask your question and also share, for those watching, where are you watching from? I always like to see different parts of the world. I know that Dr. Shayna is in Chicago. I'm in Miami Beach, two different climates. So we're in the United States, but for those watching, where are you located? And if you have a question, please post it down below, whether it's about the gut or sleep or keto or fasting. We'll be happy to answer it for you and give you some support here on this special first live stream ever for Dr. Shayna.
I'm looking for comments, just making sure I'm not missing.
I saw Zipporah was on here. Zipporah, I know, is in California. She's in my academy. She was able, so speaking of Zipporah, she joined my Keto Kamp Academy exactly 2 years ago. When she joined, she didn't have a period for a year. She had PCOS. She was overweight by, I think, 80 pounds. And then 40 days into it, she got her monthly cycle. She lost 20 pounds, and now I think she's closer to 80 pounds of weight loss, and she's reversed her insulin resistance, because this is exactly what these tools that we're talking about can do for you. The body's amazing. Identify the interference, remove the interference, and let the body heal. So Zipporah is a perfect example about that, and I wanted to share that because
and that's
she was on
the
there.
definition of naturopathic medicine in a nutshell. Supporting the body's natural ability to heal itself and removing
Amen. Exactly.
Healing. Yeah. So we've got a question. Not sure how to pronounce his name, so I don't want to butcher it. I'm watching from India. Can tea and coffee be with milk?
Yeah, so milk is tricky because cow dairy, I should say, cow milk is tricky. It's estimated that about 75% of adults don't have the ability to break down lactose. So if you're in that category, I just want to
clarify this. So I'm not clear on the question. Maybe you could clarify. Are you asking about if you're fasting or just in general?
Yeah, so I'll answer both. So milk will break a fast. Yes. Coffee and tea, not so much. But milk will, because it has protein. It'll give you a glucose response. If you're going to have milk, make sure it's raw, if you can, organic, grass-fed. But I like to have more of sheep dairy and goat dairy over cow dairy. So the question was fasting. I see that. And the milk will break the fast, but the coffee and tea, probably not. Okay.
Awesome. So got someone watching from Venezuela. Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Love that.
I don't want to mess up names if I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce sometimes the names, but I see it here. Tusa. I'm going to say Tusa Primal to make it short. Yeah.
Okay. So any last call, any final questions?
Yeah, and follow us both. For those watching, you can click the button up at top and it'll give you our profiles to follow. So for those on here who are following me, go follow Dr. Shayna. And for those who are on here from Dr. Shayna, I'd love for you to follow. And if a question pops up, send us a DM and we'll be happy to help out as much as possible.
From Murray Milner, how do I stop craving keto sweets? Great question.
Oh, I didn't see that. How do I stop craving keto sweets? So when you're saying keto sweets, are you referring to how do I stop craving sweets on keto, or how do you stop craving keto specific sweets? I'm going to answer for both either way. So protein is going to be great. Protein helps activate these satiety mechanisms in your body. Satiety means you feel full, you feel satiated. So protein helps activate cholecystokinin, peptide YY, leptin. These send signals to your brain and to your stomach that you're full, put down the fork. And I would recommend getting about 40 to 50 grams of protein at your meals, which is like 8 to 10 ounces, to activate these satiety mechanisms. And I've also seen getting your electrolytes up help with these cravings as well. So those would be 2 recommendations. What about you, Doc? What would you add to that?
Sorry, I was looking at the comments. What was the question for me?
I said I recommended protein and electrolytes for cravings. Is there anything else you would add to that?
For cravings, uh, working to rebalance your microbiome. So exploring that. So I find that that helps a lot of people, looking into their microbiome health and working on that. So a lot of times it is related to overgrowth as well.
Yeah, it's not you, it's your microbes. That's a great
Yeah.
point. I love that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, if there are no other questions, we're going to wrap things up. So, if you want to learn more about intermittent fasting and keto, be sure to check out Ben's newest book, Keto Flex, and also the Keto Kamp podcast. Um, Ben, was there anything that you want to share as far as how people can best connect with you?
Yeah, the book is the best place. KetoFlexBook.com. I outline exactly how my 4 pillars to keto fasting and keto flexing, going in and out of ketosis. So that's the best place to check me out.
Okay, awesome. Well, I hope that you found value in this live. So again, I'm going to be doing more lives like this more regularly. So make sure you're following both Dr. Shayna E. Peter, me, and the Ben Azadi on Instagram. So you'll be able to get those updates. And also let me know what topics you guys want to learn more about, because that's how I'll structure the interviews. There is a whole chapter, and it's not just acne, my new book on inflammation. If you want to learn more about that, you can check it out at the link in my bio. Um,
Awesome.
so, other than that, thanks again, you all, for joining me. And we're going to do more of these. Thank you so much, Ben, for all the value that you provided for our community.
Likewise, and congrats to you for your first Instagram Live. I look forward to more with you, and keep up the awesome work, Shayna.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.